Thank you. Thank you so much, Theodore. Thank you, Vivienne. And thank you also to everybody for being here tonight. I'm delighted to discuss my book. I just wanted to say a few words because I know that we are in a very difficult period, tumultuous at so many different levels. And sometimes it feels it's a little bit difficult and awkward to talk about our own work that is something outside what is happening now. But I still think that it's also important to remember that life continues and it has to continue because Jewish life and experience cannot limit itself to war, conflict, even if it's, of course, in our mind, working also on North American campus. So, but I'm happy to bring this book to life today and to talk about something a little bit different, art, music, and film. So let me share, first of all, my screen because we're going to talk about music. Okay, and I'm going to do that. I just wanted to make sure that you all have access. Can you all see the screen? Yes? Okay, I'm going to stop. Let me know if you don't. And then, or you can speak loud. So for women and girls only, reshaping Jewish Orthodoxy through the arts. So you can see the cover of my book, and I wanted to say a few words about it, is from the shooting of a movie that was made in Borough Park, Brooklyn, called Hush Hush, with Malky Weingarten, who is on the right. And I really wanted to encapsulate the complexity of what exactly it means to be an Orthodox woman and to be an artist, and to play with the idea of visibility. And to get into the context of my book, I wanted right away to give you an overview of 3 different videos of ultra-Orthodox women artists. The first features a composer, Chayala Newhouse. The second features a singer, Raha Jaffa, and the last one features an actress and performer, Malky Goldman. The 3 of them use their voices, their faces, in different ways to express orthodoxy. And most importantly, they target different audiences and negotiate in distinctive ways the relationship between the arts and visibility. So that's the first excerpt. So this song has been composed by Chayala Newhouse in October 2022. And I'm not going to give so much words, just information. And after the 3 excerpts, we'll give you some information.
It's early in the morning, and every street corner is humming. A non-stop race, the rushing pace of a town going and coming. And there's a steady pulse, not always heard, not always seen, but felt beneath the surface, one that's quiet and serene. Behind each blot, each letter, and each word, it's you, the crown of our town. It's your merit that is holding up the world, holding up the world.
So I'm going to pause here. So this first excerpt had a lot of backlash on social media after they released the music video. There was a lot of discussion from Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox women about the fact that this is a song celebrating women and also composed by a woman, but you don't see a single time the face of the woman. You see her arm, you see her coming into the car, but you don't recognize her. And in my book, in the first chapter of my book that I will discuss a little bit later, called The Private Performer, I argue that this way of being visible, because it's still a certain type of visibility, is indeed antagonist with the idea of being famous or being visible by showing the face, but this is another type of visibility that a lot of women will embrace and other will argue and will say,
Are you looking at me?
we have a different way of being visible. And this is, for instance, the experience of Reshaping that we're going to listen now.
Are you looking at me? Or do you really see me? Amudim sees you for who you are. Regardless of the external shell, they will support you in any way possible. This song is for Amudim's Unite to Heal. Remember, don't just look, see.
She was the one with the brightest eyes, breezing with the biggest dreams in the world and set them off like butterflies. She didn't color in lines, she didn't look where she lived. She didn't second guess or wonder, she just dove in deep. And I made her hair and I packed her back.
So we are in a very different soundscape and also a very different visible experience where Braha Jaffa and composed also by Hayla Newhouse, the same woman who composed the first song, is sending a very different message about visibility and also showing her face. And throughout the entire music video, I don't have the time to show, but you have the chance, I really recommend you. She's demonstrating or illustrating different faces of Orthodox, of Orthodoxy, women Orthodoxy, the different type of aesthetic that can, embrace the identity of being an Orthodox woman. The last excerpt is from the film producer Perel Glock, who is a Hasidic woman who grew up in Brooklyn and who left the community and does a lot of, produced a lot of movie related to Orthodoxy and Hasidism more specifically. And this movie, a short movie called Castle in the Sky, we have Malki Goldman, who is an artist originally from Mea Shearim, who then moved to the United States and who is not anymore within the community. And she doesn't have an Orthodox life, but she still sometimes teaches within the ultra-Orthodox community in the Hasidic environment. And she's also performing for the public stage.
And that's why the head and the internal organs must be removed before koshering. From the very first moment you see menstrual blood, that's when you'll be using this. This is a badika cloth.
He said that we need to talk to you first.
How was your first week together?
And the Hasidic community is a group that typically doesn't cross over with us other folks in New York.
It doesn't go in.
How do people have sex?
Look how wide it can get.
It's not a joke.
But then laugh and cry.
I thought you'd like it.
So it's a joke.
I know nothing of sacrifice.
This is the Yidden, and this is the Goyim. This is Brooklyn.
This is Tenebus.
This is God's creation. This is where the chosen are re-chosen. This is the Hasidim. Your grandparents did it?
And you?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was the last excerpt. So this is the movie where you can see Malky Goldman. I decided to present those three different music video, two are music video and the other one this trailer, because they are all the artists that I work with for my book, and that express and demonstrate the different ways ultra-Orthodox female artists, if they are inside or when they decide to leave and to still portray Orthodoxy for the public world, how they're doing it. So my book, For Women and Girls Only, is a study of ultra-Orthodox womanhood in the 21st century North America and the role of the arts, technology, and media in reshaping religion, shedding light on a new market and industry created by ultra-Orthodox and former ultra-Orthodox women. The book offers a theoretical framework for rethinking Orthodoxy through an ethnography of women's lives in these fortress artistic spaces. As a key catalyst of the recent crisis of religious authority manifested by the democratization of the digital, the frum female worlds, and here I present you the different frum female art world that I called, have become a case for understanding daily life changes in ultra-Orthodox communities, punctuating not only social and cultural life, but also economic life. Contrary to most research on religious women in conservative communities, which focuses on their predictable positions as wives and mothers, I collaborated with women in rare roles, including as singers, musicians, producers, studio owners, dancers, filmmakers, and actresses who are using the arts as an economy. While the arts might be considered a liminal practice existing in peripheral spaces, and therefore unrepresentative of broader societies, in these frum communities, they nevertheless reveal important changes in the making of publicity in conservative religious circles. And most importantly, they also reveal the growth of an entertainment scene that is consumed at large by the entire ultra-Orthodox communities. The frum female art worlds encapsulate the contradictions between the need for privacy of ultra-Orthodox women and the publicity of the arts. They offer alternative ways to understanding religious norms that insist on privacy and artistic norms, whose raison d'etre dwells in publicity. By producing music, plays, films, and dance on stage, on screen, online, and in the studio, these women have created two vibrant artistic scenes that both challenge and reinforce orthodoxy. Former ultra-Orthodox women accomplished this work by diversifying women's narratives in theater and films for general audiences, reframing cultural appropriation of Hasidic identities on North American stages and screens. Ultra-Orthodox women do it by negotiating religious norms to create a market and industry in the arts for those within their communities, redefining the standard for publicities that dictate the Orthodox public space. The ultra-Orthodox women presented in this book come from a variety of communities that differentiate themselves from the centrist modern Orthodox movement through the relationships they establish with modernity and what they call the outside world. Modern Orthodoxy and ultra-Orthodoxy both follow an authoritative interpretation of rabbinical and ancient text, including Jewish law. However, members of modern centrist Orthodoxy do so while still overtly engaging with the secular world, attending universities or liberal art colleges, and participating in the culture and workforce of the broader society. Meanwhile, ultra-Orthodox Jews that I met believe that the maintenance of Jewish halacha dictates several limitations on engagement with this broader society. For this reason, they have established ideological, economic, social, cultural, and physical boundaries with the outside world to protect themselves from what they describe as a perverse, superficial, and purposeless society. Ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities define themselves.
יכולה להגיד לי, כאילו אם לא, למה צריך כל דבר להזכיר להם אקט?
sorry, ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities define themselves by their strict opposition to modernity, as well as by their insularity and their commitment to religious authority and leadership, labeling themselves, depending on their specific community, as Hasidic, Litvish, Yeshivish, Amish, or simply Orthodox. The lives of women in conservative circles are dictated by the concept of tzniut, laws of modesty that involve privacy and discretion. Yet, once women transform their arts into a commodity, issues of the public nature of their productions arose. To transform their arts into a market and an industry, they have renegotiated and redefined religious norms about modesty, modifying the strict demarcation between Orthodox and non-Orthodox public media. Though ultra-Orthodox men are also making changes relating to the arts and technology due to expanding use of the internet, their market and industry are not dictated by norms of privacy, preventing them from becoming celebrities and artists. This book is not about men, as reevaluating the impact of technology on the definition of privacy and publicity in religious setting has been largely undertaken by women. This observation does not mean that men do not have an impact on women's experiences. They often support their wives, daughters, or sisters, as well as influence women's artistic production through their own performances as celebrities themselves. But they are not at the core of the story that I wanted to write, and more specifically at the core of the story when it comes to religious agency, in this specific case, in the digital age. The first of the three main arguments of my book is that religious women, in the face of changes in the arts and technology, are redefining the act of being public and private and engineering social change. The second argument is that the case for the significance of technology and the arts in the making of new senses of belonging, arguing for the redefinition of conservative religious communities beyond the local, and more specifically of ultra-Orthodox and Hasidic communities. I observed how technology transformed women's senses of belonging beyond blood and traditional kinship ties, expanding it to a global scale through a strengthening of the sense of relatedness. And here I wanted to say that also the particularity of my ethnography has been translocal. So going from the most conservative space to the place of women who left the community. And by doing this work, and also from Montreal to New York and online and on site, is also demonstrating, and myself, I went from a place to another because the women that I've met guided me from a place to another. So it really highlights the connection between all these different worlds. And the third argument builds on scholarship that rethinks religion as a social category connected to secularism and belief, as well as recent debates of exit among ultra-Orthodox Jews. By revealing the common experience among ultra-Orthodox and formerly ultra-Orthodox women of using artistic performances to gain social, cultural, and economic agency and autonomy, this book complicates the boundaries between orthodoxies, defectors, and its followers. So regarding the structure of the book, so I organized the book into, as you can see, I follow the four different space. I call it the ethnographic spaces or different universes that I try to guide the reader into those different spaces. But towards the end, when I call a story of revival, arrival rethinking orthodoxy in the digital age, I try to remember that there's a connection between all those different spaces. So the private performer is this universe that is the most, so it's from the most conservative universe to the one that is the public artist, the one who are performing for Netflix or for theater, that, you know, it's not gender segregated. Anybody can participate in those universe. And before those four main spaces, so the private performer, the private performer starts in Kersjol in Satmar. Then we enter the celebrity space, and this is where I talked about the industry, what I call the Kolisha industry. Then we have social media, an entire chapter, about Instagram. and how the celebrity who are on Instagram are also using platform Instagram to advocating for changes and creating what I call the counter public. And finally, the public artist, where here I make an argument about the specificity of the Hasidic identity, because in a lot of, and performing Hasidicness, not Jewishness, but Hasidicness, and what exactly it creates, especially in the discourse about cultural appropriation, and it's not enough in the discourse about is it a Jewish person performing a Hasidic person, because if you're a liberal Jew, you will not necessarily have a connection with Hasidicness, and even it could have some tension. So the argument is about what exactly it means to perform Hasidicness today, and through this lens, diversifying the understanding of Jewishness on a North American screen. The other aspect, how I did this research, and you can ask me any kind of question at the end about methodology. I'm anthropologist, ethnomusicologist, so I do ethnography, field work. I connect with people, and I really immerse myself in this universe. I taught to Hasidic women and Litvish women for about a year in Montreal, and it was a program for social work. I also taught piano sometimes. I'd participate, and I was in the shadow of certain films for women and girls only with amazing filmmakers. And I have this quote for Nancy Shipper Hughes that I really like, and I quote, "The ethnographer, like the artist, is engaged in a special kind of vision, quest, through which a specific interpretation of the human condition and entire sensibility is forged. Our medium, our canvas, is the field, a place both proximate and intimate, as well as forever distant and unalienably other. In the act of writing culture, what emerges is always a highly subjective, partial, and fragmentary, but also deeply felt and personal record of human lives, based on eyewitness and testimony." So what I wanted to say by sharing this quote with you is that this book is my own experience, my interpretation, and how I read those multiple ways of being and participating and making the ultra-Orthodox world, or the Hasidic world, and the different ways women are reinventing themselves and discussing and arguing about what is, correct or not, or what we can do or not, according to the law of Tzniut and Kolisha. And also the fact that this is something that I'm talking about at the end of the book, reconsidering the way we think about religious authority today, the way we think about the place of women in understanding and making decision is extremely, even if it's the art, even if it could be seen as liminal, actually by looking at this liminal space, remembering that they need to be considered because they are making a lot of decision, and they are also part in a way of religious authority. And that's part of my argument. Okay, I would like to give you a glimpse of 2 chapters of the book. I'm trying to switch yes. So this is the chapter about the private performer. And so I'm going to give you a vignette for those 2, the first chapter on the private performer, and then we're going to jump into the celebrity. So 2 different ways of expressing visibility in the arts. So I'm going to start with the vignette, and then I will give you some details about each chapter. And after, I will conclude with a broader, I really like to conclude this talk on the figure of the celebrity, because I think this is very, very unique to the moment. And it raises a lot of questions about religion, religious authority, and what is next also to this moment. Is it just a moment, or is it going to be normalized, and how it is affecting the Orthodox world, and more specifically, or more broadly, the Jewish world. So let me get into this vignette. Curious Joel, also known as KJ, is a village in upstate New York, known for being the home of the most secluded Hasidic communities in North America. On my way there in the summer of 2020, I met the female Hasidic musician, singer, and educator, Toby. Toby disseminates her creative work without her name or her face, according to the norms of tzniut in her community. Since that meeting, Toby and I have communicated on a regular basis. She often sends me videos and announcements about her musical endeavors, whether they are practice sessions, performances, or music lessons for girls. In mid-April of 2021, Toby sent me a WhatsApp message to announce her published interview with the Yiddish Hasidic women's magazine of her community of KJ. As its title implies, Balebusta, and here you have a photo of the Balebusta's cover, a Yiddish term meaning busy housewife, covers issues of interest to Yiddish Hasidic women. The Balebusta is distributed to thousands of people throughout KJ, emphasizing Toby's position as a married woman, mother, performer, and educator. The interview normalizes her musical project in KJ, which is teaching violin, piano, and guitar to girls, highlighting how she serves her community by encouraging women and girls to develop their talent by learning an instrument. The piece masks her first name behind her married name, referring to her as Mrs. T. Chaimovich, and includes no photo of her. Many in feminist liberal circles will likely describe Toby as invisible, and even some Orthodox women, or at least render unrecognizable to the many women who know her. Nevertheless, Balebusta promoted her individual and economic success by publishing this interview and by discussing her music disconnected from any religious practice, creating an interesting paradox between tzniut, individuality, and self-promotion. Traditionally, musical talent is framed as given by God, and to respect the norm of modesty, it should not be self-promoted. With this contradiction emerges an understanding of women's publicity and visibility that does not involve the exposure of faces, names, and bodies, defying Western liberal feminism and its view that cultural agency must be reflected by the visible exposure and celebration of women's images and their names. So I start this chapter with the excerpt of Toby because Toby had guided me a lot to write this entire chapter. Toby is this fascinating woman who created this band in KJ, in Kiryas Satmar. And when I say a band, it's there are about 5 musicians. They are performing in KJ, but also in other Hasidic communities. And she also have private programs where she teaches a guitar, she teaches a piano, also singing, and she plays, you can see the accordion. She learned by herself on YouTube, the accordion, the harps, or the saxophone. And what was fascinating with the case of Toby is that there's this constant tension because we are in the most conservative space. So this is not new that women are, performing for school, for summer camp, etc. I have actually, and then it started with the school performance and also connected to the summer camp. But what is very new is to have mothers and women who are married, who are making and using the art, music, and film as a parnasse, as a way of making a living. And they are negotiating, they're not negotiating, but they are justifying their practice by saying that they are serving the collective. So it's very important, and it was the case for Toby. On one hand, they need to encourage the individual to develop their own sense of creativity, but on the other hand, they also need to emphasize that this is for the collective, that this is for, at first, that you shouldn't shine too much. And actually, Toby value that a lot, but because she makes sure that the girls and the women should still stay humble, and this is extremely important for her. Throughout this chapter, I go also through a very interesting space that is the home studio, and you have different type of home studio that is growing exponentially in Montreal, in New York, and I assume that in Antwerp, you may also have a lot of recording studio in London as well, and in I know that in Israel you have a lot as well. And what is fascinating in the home studio is that sometimes it could be in the bedroom and with a computer, and a girl, a teenager, will receive an arrangement that is coming from another city, will record the voice here and will make herself an arrangement. So this creation of an informal market. So the private performer doesn't talk about the industry, but talk about an informal market. And I discovered, for instance, some songs that were circulating from a location to another, a play that was sent from New York to Montreal, then translated into Yiddish. I had the privilege to meet the technology lady in Montreal. The technology lady, she's in connection with a lot of other artists that are part of this informal market, and they are sending them, music video or sometimes just audio or films that are not part of any industry, that are from all different Hasidic and Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox community, but essentially Hasidic. The technology lady in Montreal is from a Hasidic background. And she's collecting everything, and you can go to her, you can rent a little iPad where you have a filter, and during the holiday, Chalamoid, or during a break, you can rent this iPad and you can watch some kosher entertainment for women and girls only. And the last scene is the writer's room. So this is the room of the composer. What is fascinating is that in terms of copyright, for the composer that I've met or the songwriter that I've met, most of the time, somebody will request them to write lyrics, and they will create what we call in music a counterfactum. So a counterfactum is that you keep the same melody, but you change the lyrics, and it's extremely common in Jewish music, and not only in Jewish music, but in a lot of different, traditional setting. And in this case, the Hasidic composer, female composer that I've met, so sometimes they will, somebody who's going to get married, or there's a bat mitzvah, and they ask her, oh, can you compose a song on, this melody? And the girl will compose a song, she will receive a fee, and then the lyrics doesn't belong to her anymore, it belongs to the collective. And there is actually a change. And here I tell the story of this woman in Montreal that was preparing for summer school in a summer camp, and they were trying to record a song in Borough Park in preparation of the summer camp, and they arrived with a song that they really wanted to record in the studio. And the woman who has this studio said, I cannot record this. I know the composer, and you need to ask her. You need to ask her permission. I cannot record this, even if it's for the summer camp. So they called the composer agreed, and they pay a fee, a type of new ways of copyrights, because we are in an informal market. So kind of new ways of negotiating with the copyright. So this is the writer's room. After the chapter on the private performer, I'm discussing, and I wanted to give you a different way of another magazine. So this magazine is Ami Living. So this is in English. This is also for the Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, communities, Hasidic. I would say that some Sadmar families, the most conservative Hasidic families, may not have it, but some will have it. And you still, in the Ami Living, you still will not find any faces of women. So that's important to mention. And I'm going to start with the vignette at the beginning of this chapter. So this is the chapter called The Frum Female Celebrity. The cover of the January 13, 2021 issue of Ami Living, a weekly magazine for ultra-Orthodox women, reads, and I quote, you can hear it, you can see it here. A studio grows in Brooklyn. Rochel Lea Refer creates music and helps others create their own. The story within positions Refer, a Hasidic woman from Borough Park who built a home recording studio in her basement, as a success story, part of the growing phenomenon of ultra-Orthodox women becoming entrepreneurs and professionals in the domain of the art, entertainment, and technology. Respecting the norms of the ultra-Orthodox press, Ami Living did not show Refer's face in its pages, but did publish her full name, an approach contrary to that followed by the magazine Balibusta, as we saw earlier. The story presents her creativity, curiosity, and musical talent as vehicles for serving and supporting others in the community. Refer started out as an autodidact, reproducing the songs of others, and later received music lessons for a short time with the support of her parents. The story depicts this training as a major factor in the launch of her music career, carefully underscoring that she has had religious support from Rebbetzin Goldberger, who is the principal of No Sign of Bobov, a private Hasidic school for girls, and the daughter of the Bobover Rebbe. To counterbalance Refer's professional accomplishments, the article's author, Musia Kaplan, suggests towards the end of the piece that Refer's domestic role remained her top priority. And I quote, "Aside from her musical career, Rochelea is a busy wife and mother of 4. Like most working moms, she sees each day as a balancing act. Jewish education is a full-time job. Her family is her first priority. She insists on being there to welcome the kids when they get home from school and makes sure to prepare supper before her husband's arrival. A few years ago, she decided to get rid of her smartphone so she could have peace of mind outside the studio. Her dedication to music will never override her devotion to her family. Thankfully, the two usually don't conflict. Rochelea's family loves and supports the music studio that is growing in Brooklyn, and the melodies that pour forth bring joy and inspiration to all. Although the publication acknowledges Refar's fame and therefore promotes the success of women in the arts, the publication also reminds readers that the main duty of an Orthodox woman is to be a mother and a wife with a focus on home and family. And here it's an interesting space because we are talking the chapter about the celebrity. There is always this emphasis on also the private role as a mother, as there is one artist that I wrote about in my book that is not married, Shandy Platzker, but all the other are mothers and married, and the centrality also of balancing the family and their professional life, and also the fact that even if they became those figure of celebrity, and I make the entire argument why I call them celebrities, when they have over 500,000 views on YouTube for a music video, when Jewish organizations like Amudim or Bonei Olam are inviting them for concert, but also for music video to attract, their audience for tzedakah, for different type of event. So this is a new phenomenon in the sense that you also had in the past some from female celebrities, some women who were invested in the art, who also were known, like Miriam Israeli, or I can give you a lot of names that were known, but the difference is that you didn't see their faces and their name on social media, and you didn't have them having their own voice and situating themselves on social media, deciding what is the image that they want to give. And to show you how much powerful this phenomenon is, or how it became actually so powerful, especially since the pandemic. We are in 2020, really, 2020, I think it was 2020, during the pandemic. The release of this song was initially by Tumel, and actually that was for a campaign to raise money for infertility, and more specifically to encourage women before Shabbos to donate $1 before lighting the candles. And the paradox was that Benny Freeman and Baruch Levine, Tumel, were recording the song, and it was a backlash on social media by women themselves saying, how come you decided to have a song celebrating women with Tumel singing? And the organization decided to finance this music video with 2 women, Deborah Schwartz and Braha Jaffa. And the interesting aspect is that they were very timid at the beginning. That's why they didn't put it on their YouTube channel. But Deborah Schwartz and Bracha Shafa did put the music video on their own YouTube channel. They also promote it on social media. And this is one of the most music video that has the most view today for women and girls only. And since then, a lot of other organizations, Orthodox and serving the ultra-Orthodox communities, also are recruiting those celebrities for different type of music video. To raise awareness on different subject, but also to raise fund. And this is something extremely new that emerged during COVID that I'm documenting in the book. And I just wanted to show you a beginning of this music video, and then I will conclude, I promise.
As I stand in candlelight with my hands upon my eyes, there's a passion in my prayers that rends the skies. For a mother's tears can shatter every gate that bars the way. Oh, the heavens will echo those words that mothers say. Vizakeni, Vizakeni, take my children by the hands, help them walk along your way.
So that was just an excerpt to give you an idea of the collaboration between both. And if you have the chance to watch the original, it's interesting to compare. So this is, I had much more than I was expecting. This is the cover of different movies. So this is the Hush Hush, which actually I talked earlier, produced and written by Malki Weingarten, that is on the cover of my book, that talks about the taboo of mental health for shidduchim, for arranged marriage. And her first movie, Mali, talks about an autistic girl. And she decided from all the movie that she produced and she wrote to create an album that's called the Song Collection, where she decided to collect all the different songs that are available in her movie. This is the cover of Deborah Schwartz's album. So you can see that all those places where you have publicity for women and girls only, most of the time you don't have the faces, because this is available in Jewish shops, so you have certain standard to respect. But on social media, you will see them fully, with their faces on stage, with other artists, like I'm demonstrating to you now. So this is some photos that I have in my book that Deborah Schwartz and Malki Weingarten nicely gave me authorization to publish. And I'm just going to conclude on this chapter on the celebrity. And if you want to talk also about the public artists, the artists who left, I can dig into this too. So the art produced by female celebrities, which many see as unconventional and subversive, circulate around the globe through both online and traditional media. As a result, the informal market, that is the traditional format of the female art world, as we saw earlier, so in the case of the Ballet Busta, has been transformed from emphasizing on the collective to recognition of individual artists, from private performance to public YouTube videos and streaming. Thus, a section of ultra-Orthodox women's artistic space has been revamped into a global commodified industry. Ultra-Orthodox women and girls worldwide consume Kol Isha media by attending Chalamoid screenings, So during the break for Pesach or Sukkot, they organize screening across communities where they can watch different movies by and for women and girls only, but also watching live performances at different tzedakah events or summer camp, but also ordering CDs and digital music files online, or even just surfing the web. This feminine artistic space has a presence on YouTube, Instagram, and even on TikTok, as well as in local and international Jewish magazines where stars, films, performances, and educational programs are advertised. This new industry, and talking about the Kolisha industry and the place where I talk about the celebrity, does not contradict its origin in the education system and the traditional collective space of women's performances, as I presented earlier in the case of the private performer. Rather, it transforms these institutions, translating external values and processes into ultra-Orthodox context. And most importantly, it demonstrates how they incorporate adapted and indigenized celebrity culture and stardom to orthodoxy, creating a new model for womanhood today. And I think I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'm stopping here. I'm sorry I took a little bit more time. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna present those 2 chapters and trying to give the overview as well.
That's fine. That's fine, Roda. Thank you so much for a fascinating talk. I learned so much.